Somewhere along the way, we started to believe that if our work didn't earn a paycheck, then it doesn't have value. And I think that's one of the biggest lies that homemakers have ever been told. Because every single day, women are waking up quietly and making their homes feel safe, peaceful, loved, and welcoming. And somehow, we've convinced ourselves that that's not enough. The world likes to celebrate promotions, degrees, and big accomplishments, but it rarely ever celebrates the woman who quietly keeps her home running, who remembers everyone's favorite meal, folds their laundry, and keeps the pantry stocked, who's the comforter for everybody in the home on hard days, and who creates a place where people can finally exhale after the world has torn them down. And because no one applauds those things, it's easy to start believing that they don't really matter. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and it really got me thinking how interesting it is that we spend so much of our lives trying to build a home, and yet we spend so little time talking about the people who are actually building it. Not building the walls, but building the atmosphere. The people who make a house feel peaceful, comfortable, safe, welcoming, and loving. Because the truth is, you can walk into two houses that look almost identical, same square footage, to have the same furniture, maybe the same paint colors, and the same floor plan. And somehow, one feels cold, while the other one immediately feels like home. And I believe that difference has very little to do with what money can actually buy, and everything to do with the people who have intentionally poured themselves into that home. I think somewhere along the way, we've accidentally started believing that homemaking is just cleaning and cooking or doing laundry and the dreaded grocery shopping. But I don't think that's ever what homemaking was meant to be. Those things are certainly part of it, but they're definitely not the heart of it. The heart of homemaking is creating an environment where people can rest, where they know they're cared for, and where they feel welcome before they've even been offered a seat. It's about noticing the little things about the people in your home, like the way your husband likes his sandwiches, or it's making your home feel cozy and comfy for your guests when they come over. It's making your home feel peaceful and safe, lighting a candle, or when you put fresh sheets on the bed, it's filling up the dog's water bowl before it gets low, or keeping extra blankets in the living room because you know you've always got that one person that seems to be cold all the time. For me, that's my husband or our two older dogs. It's making soup and caring for somebody when they don't feel well. Not because anybody asked you to, but because love often looks like paying attention. And I think that's something we've forgotten. A home isn't built in one grand gesture. It's built in 1,000 little moments that most people just don't notice. Maybe that's why I've always struggled a little when people talk about homemaking as if it's somehow less important or less meaningful. Because that's simply not true. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, I want to say something that's very important. This isn't about saying every family should look like mine, or that every woman should be staying home. It isn't about saying one way of living is better than the other. I have people that I love dearly whose lives look completely different from mine. Some work full-time outside the home, some stay home with little ones, some are retired, some are single, some are empty nesters, some people are caring for aging parents. Every family has different needs, different responsibilities, and are going through a different season in life. And I genuinely believe each family has to do what works best for them. This isn't about comparing those differences. It's about recognizing something we don't talk about enough. Wherever homemaking fits into your life, whether it's something you spend all day long doing or something you pour yourself into after you've already worked an 8 or 10 hour shift, there is value in making a home. There is value in creating peace that exists inside the home. And there is value in serving the people you love. There is so much value in making every ordinary day feel beautiful. And I don't think society really says that very often anymore. So I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of background about my personal story about how I became a stay-at-home wife. It was probably just a few years into our marriage. I had been working as a caregiver for an elderly lady who went in the nursing home. And then after that, I started babysitting for a family member. At the time, I had a hobby that was kind of a side business, and it picked up just a little bit. So I decided to just work from home and do it as much as I could. The Lord convicted me about it because the hobby had really become a large idol in my life, so I walked away from it. And me and my husband had a discussion about whether I went back to work or not. And we both talked about it, and we both realized we really liked me being at home. So we decided that I would just stay home as a full-time homemaker. And honestly, over the years, I have really enjoyed being at home. But with that also comes the misconceptions. So many accusations and people questioning us. Sometimes people are going to think that you sit around and you're lazy, you don't do anything all day. They question, well, what are you doing at home? Especially with me, I'm a stay-at-home wife. We don't have kids, but we do have 5 dogs. We have actually had people, especially more so in the first few years, try to make my husband make me get a job. Like this wasn't a mutual decision between the two. And when people get rude or they start pushing back at us, this is our life. This is what works for us. This is the dynamic that works the best for us. And it's nobody else's business, and that's just how it is. Things like that really don't bother me much anymore, but it used to really aggravate me because we've never been people who are judgmental of the way other people's dynamics in their home work. We have more traditional gender roles, but we are also very modern as well. And it's just very frustrating that we can receive so much negative feedback about what we choose to do inside our own home because we respect everybody's decision about what works best for their family. There are so many other family dynamics. The things that work for our home don't work for everybody else's, and something that works for somebody else's home might not work for our home, and that is completely okay. And the funny thing is, I have never needed people to agree with my choices, but I have wished that they just understood it a little bit more. I believe as homemakers, we also put a lot of inward pressure on ourselves. We think our home has to look like some fancy Pinterest board, and don't get me wrong, because I love Pinterest. I have a little collage of how I want to design my home. I'm there on there all the time, pinning stuff. But the reality is that what a Pinterest home looks like is not what the average home looks like on a day-to-day basis. It's just not realistic. We often put so much pressure on ourselves for our house to look spotless, or we feel guilty when we're tired or when we're sick or we're ill and we just can't get up and do everything that we need to do. Sometimes we can feel like if our home's not in perfect condition, then we're failing. And that's not true. You guys, if you've been here, you know a little bit about my story. I talked about how several years ago, I was a horrible homemaker. I was extremely depressed. I had severe anxiety, and my mental health was really reflected in the home. I just didn't know where to start. I was so overwhelmed with cleaning the home, and my mental state felt the way my home looked. But thank the Lord, I had a come to Jesus meeting, I'll call it one night. That is a testimony all in itself. But it still took time after that. There was still progress. There was a mindset shift that I had to have. And it has really taken me a long time. Y'all know I have talked about doing things in small steps, that those small steps, they create progress over time. They create routines. And my whole home isn't even part of that routine yet. It's been a few years and I'm still working all of that into it. but my home looks so much nicer now. But there are still days where I fall behind, or I don't feel good, or I just want to have a day where I'm not doing everything, and that's okay. Over the past year and a half, dealing with my husband's injury and all the appointments, the physical therapy, the driving, everything we have been through, God has taught me so much about gratitude for our little home. I used to not want to pour anything into it or do much of anything with it because I was just so frustrated with being stuck here, because I've been here for a lot longer than I wanted to. But this season of life, God has really taught me so much gratitude for this little house. If it was not for Him having us here, I don't think we would have gotten through the season that we've been through if we didn't have a paid off home, because there was definitely some times where we were bringing in a small fraction of the income that we were before he was injured. And with that mindset shift, that has also helped me so much around the home. It has helped me want to pour back into my home, because one day I realized I was comparing my life so much, wishing I was somebody else, or I was somewhere else, or we were in a different income level, that we could go and have vacations all the time and we could travel. But the reality is that me and my husband are very much homebodies. We might go out on the weekend when he's off and go get something to eat, or maybe go doing a little shopping here and there, or go do something. But we rarely drive 15-20 minutes away from our house. It's very rare for us to travel a town or so away to go to like Lowe's or Hobby Lobby, because we just do not go far at all. We just genuinely enjoy being at home, being together, and being with our 5 dogs. And it hit me one day, if home is where we're going to spend most of our lives, then why am I not pouring more into it? That's when my perspective on homemaking really started to change. I stopped seeing a list of chores that felt like it just never ended, and I started seeing it as an opportunity to actually build a life I love living. One of my biggest goals right now is to build a life and a home that I don't feel like I need a constant vacation from. Not that vacations are bad, but I want my peace and my happiness to be in the place that I exist most of the time. I want to enjoy making my protein coffee in the morning and just simply folding laundry and doing things around the house, watching a thunderstorm on my porch. I want to make every ordinary day feel beautiful. I want to live my ordinary, simple life in a way that I genuinely love. And honestly, I think that's what homemaking has become for me. What I believe now is that homemaking isn't about perfection. It's about stewarding what God has given us well, creating peace in the home, and loving those inside our home well. It's about noticing the little things that make other people in your home smile, that make them feel safe and loved. And it's about making the ordinary days feel beautiful. Whether homemaking is something you do all day like myself, or it's something you come home to after a long day at work, I don't think the heart behind it changes. Whether you are a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom, a working wife or a working mom, or if you're an empty nester or a retiree, or whether you're a single woman creating a peaceful home, there is so much value in what we put into our home. The value we bring to our homes is immeasurable, even if it goes unnoticed on most days. I don't know who first made homemaking feel small, but it definitely is not. I've realized something. A home is never really finished. There's always going to be something on your to-do list, whether that's a DIY project or a room to paint or a space that you really just want to get organized. Sometimes I know we all have that recipe we want to try, a piece of furniture that we're wanting to save up for, or a future dream. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think a home is meant to grow right alongside the people living inside of it. As we change, our homes change too. As families grow, our homes grow with them. As seasons come and go, the way we care for our homes change too. What routine worked for you at one point might not work for you anymore, and that's okay. You just have to figure out what's going to work for you and your home moving forward. The way we care for our homes change in different seasons, and maybe that's why homemaking has taught me so much about contentment. Because contentment isn't believing everything is exactly the way you want it. It's learning to faithfully care for what you have while still dreaming about what it could be. I can dream about the kitchen I'd love to renovate one day, or the kitchen I would love to have in another house one day, and still be grateful for the one I'm cooking in right now. And sometimes I think people struggle with that. Contentment is not complacency. We can be content with where we are and still have dreams for a better future. I can dream about the home that we would love to have one day, while still loving the one that's sheltering us right now. Those two things can exist at the same time. I think that's why I've become so intentional about the small things. I used to think it was kind of a little corny and cliche to talk about how peaceful lighting a candle was, or to set flowers in a vase, or to take time doing my skincare at night. None of those things are about pretending my life is perfect, and they're not to impress anybody. They're just little ways of reminding myself that ordinary life is worth caring about. That random afternoon is worth making something beautiful. The home isn't just a place we come back to at the end of the day. For a lot of us, it's where life is actually happening. And if I'm going to spend so much time of my life here, why wouldn't I pour into it? I also think we have to be careful not to let social media convince us that homemaking is only beautiful when it's aesthetic. When every room is perfectly decorated, every cabinet's organized, and when every meal looks picture perfect. Because that's not real life. Real homemaking looks like leftovers. It looks like laundry baskets waiting to be folded. Or if you're like me, loads of laundry just sitting on your coffee table waiting to be folded. It looks like muddy paw prints after your dogs come running through the house, jumping on everything with the zoomies. And it looks like changing your plans because life just happens sometimes. It looks like loving your home through the imperfect days. And I think that's where the beauty actually lies. As I've been through seasons of life where I have grown a lot more, I realized that a beautiful home isn't one that's never been lived in. It's the one that's deeply loved. One where people feel safe enough to be themselves. One where laughter has echoed through the rooms. And one where hard conversations have happened around the dinner table. Where prayers have been whispered. And where grace has been freely given. That's the kind of home I want to build. Not a perfect one, but a safe and peaceful one. And if you're watching this today feeling like your homemaking doesn't matter, can I just remind you, every meal you make, every load of laundry, every time you straighten the couch before someone comes over, every flower you place in a vase to make your home feel a little prettier, every candle you light to fill the space with warm ambiance and peace, every grocery trip you make to feed your family, every quiet act of love, you're building something. You're shaping the atmosphere of your home. And while the world may never hand you an award for that, the people who live there within the walls of your home will experience it every single day. Maybe they won't always notice why they feel safe. And maybe they won't realize why your house feels so peaceful. And maybe they'll never stop to think about all the little things you do. But they'll experience the result of your love. And sometimes the most meaningful things we ever build are the things no one else sees being built. So wherever you are, whether you're just learning how to make a home, or whether you've been doing this for decades, whether homemaking is something you pour love into all day long, or something you come home to after work, I hope you never let anyone convince you that it's small. Because building a home has never been small. It's one of the greatest investments you'll ever make. Not because every floor will stay clean, and not because every room will be perfectly decorated, and not because every meal you make is going to just turn out wonderful, but because every intentional act of love becomes part of the story your home tells. And I don't know about you, but when people walk through my front door, I don't want the first thing they notice to be my decor. I want them to feel the peace, to feel that they're welcomed, and I want them to feel like they can finally exhale after everything they've been through outside of these walls. If they remember anything about my home, I hope it's how it made them feel, because I think that's what homemaking has always been about. Creating a place where love is felt one ordinary, simple day at a time.